Kid, Junior, that is, will be down in a minute unless you'd like to take her drink up to her.
I can get a fresh one. Karen, you're a Gibson girl.
Actresses in the golden era of Hollywood were known for their remarkable beauty, advocacy against social stigmas affecting women in the entertainment industry, and scandals involving women who were considered difficult due to their demanding nature or the repeated controversies surrounding their private lives. Who were these women, and why were they perceived as cruel? Here are the 20 most cruel actresses from Hollywood's golden era, and what made them so. Number 20. Joan Crawford. Crawford was born Lucille Fay LeSueur in San Antonio, Texas, on the 23rd of March, 1905. Some sources have claimed she was born in 1904. Her parents separated before she was born, and her mother later married Harry Casson, who owned a theater. As a child, she was often called Billy Casson, a name she used intermittently throughout her time in show business. After her mother and stepfather separated, she attended 2 private schools. She had to work at both places to help cover her tuition. At the same time, she was punished harshly for what adults viewed as misbehavior. Due to her busy schedule, she missed many classes. However, her academic records were altered to give the impression that she was performing well in school. She began dancing at a young age. That later led her to Hollywood, where she acted in many films. By the 1930s, she was one of the biggest movie stars. In 1945, she won an Academy Award for playing the lead in Mildred Pierce. Some people called her ruthless or difficult to work with, especially during the making of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1962. On that set, she clashed with Bette Davis. There were reports that she attempted to sabotage Davis's chances for awards and spread negative rumors. Her daughter later released a book called Mommy Dearest that described mistreatment, adding to her harsh public image. Some of the tension between Crawford and Davis may have been exacerbated by their studio's efforts to attract attention. Still, no one questioned how hard Crawford worked to move from a poor childhood to become one of the biggest movie stars. Number 19. Bette Davis. Bette Davis, often called the First Lady of the American screen, was recognized for her clear, deep, and serious voice. After enduring 3 serious illnesses and needing to relearn how to walk twice, she made her return to acting. On the 30th of October, 1984, she began work on Murder with Mirrors, a television film that featured Helen Hayes and John Mills. It was filmed in the misty gardens of a large home in Hertfordshire, England. That day, Davis described it as one of the most wonderful days of her life. The film aired the following year on the Columbia Broadcasting System television network. She was born Ruth Elizabeth Davis on the 5th of April, 1985 in Lowell, Massachusetts. Her father, Harlo Davis, worked as a lawyer. She moved to Hollywood in December 1930 and began her film career as a contract actress. Davis worked hard to bring the stories she believed in to life. She convinced Warner Brothers to back films like Jezebel, The Man Who Came to Dinner, Now, Voyager, and Dark Victory. She once said it took her 3 years to get Jack L. Warner to agree to make Dark Victory. Davis became known for her sharp manner and firm presence on film sets. However, she was often accused of being overly forceful and was said to have clashed with her co-stars, including Joan Crawford. People claimed she tried to control scenes and refused to back down. Her tough image stemmed partly from her refusal to conform to the studio's idea of how a woman should behave. She wanted better roles and more influence in her work, which some perceived as pride or stubbornness. While some of her confrontations were exaggerated for the press, many in the industry still respected her for her skill and strong work ethic. Number 18. Vivien Lee. Vivien Lee was born Vivian Mary Hartley on the 5th of November, 1913, in Darjeeling, India. When Lee was 6, her family moved back to England. A year later, she turned to her classmate Maureen O'Sullivan and said she would be famous. That promise ultimately proved true, although she later gained fame under a different name. Lee first stepped onto the stage and appeared in a film in 1935. Her role in the play The Bash did not bring much success, but it caught the attention of producer Sidney Carroll. He soon cast her in a London stage production, and she also played the lead in a film titled Things Are Looking Up, which was released the same year. Although she was initially given parts that portrayed her as a light-hearted flirt, she quickly sought more serious work, performing in Shakespeare's plays at the Old Vic in London. It was at the Old Vic that she met Laurence Olivier. He was already well known and, like Lee, married. Their bond grew quickly, both on and off stage. Their relationship stirred strong opinions, and Lee was labeled a homewrecker for being involved with a married man. Some described her behavior as difficult, especially during her struggles with bipolar disorder, which at the time was poorly understood. While the press focused on her private life, many of her co-workers praised her discipline and focus. On the set of Gone with the Wind, she worked with great care and was renowned for her dedication. Though some viewed her as difficult, others recognized her as an actress striving to remain steady through a storm. Number 17. Clara Bow. Clara Bow stepped away from Hollywood when she was only 28, but her name has resurfaced. On the 6th of February, Taylor Swift shared the list of songs from her upcoming album across her social media pages. The final track carried Bow's name. The album, titled The Tortured Poets Department, was set to be released on the 19th of April, 2024. Clara Bow's early life was shaped by hardship. She grew up in New York City, where her childhood was marked by pain and instability. Despite this, she rose to fame in the 1920s as one of the brightest stars of the silent film era. After her lead role in the movie It in 1927, she was called the It Girl, a title that stuck. She became known for her beauty and screen presence, but the public frequently scrutinized her personal life. Her many broken engagements, rumors, and the stress of non-stop filming began to take a toll on her health. In 1933, she left acting behind. She later married Rex Bell, a former actor who entered politics, and they stayed together for over 30 years. Bow's name remained in the gossip pages even after she left the screen. Some reports accused her of having affairs, including one with a married doctor. She was often depicted as careless or wild, particularly by columnists eager to stir up trouble. Many judged her without understanding what she bore behind the fame. However, her influence has persisted through the decades. Number 16. Mae West. In 1926, Mae West took center stage in a Broadway production she wrote, directed, and produced. The play was called Intimacy. It drew large crowds and earned money, but most critics turned their backs on it, deeming it indecent due to its candid discussions about intimacy. The play also caught the attention of city officials, who shut it down and arrested West along with several cast members. She was taken to court and found guilty of violating public morals. On the 19th of April, 1927, she was sentenced to 10 days in jail on Welfare Island, now known as Roosevelt Island. During her time there, she was treated kindly. Reports indicate that she even dined with the warden and his wife on multiple occasions. Ultimately, she served only 8 days, earning 2 days off for good behavior. All the press coverage only enhanced her fame. Instead of stepping back, West pushed forward. Her next play, Drag, focused on homosexuality. It premiered in Connecticut and achieved even greater success in Paterson, New Jersey. When West planned to bring the show to Broadway, the Society for the Prevention of Vice intervened. This group had existed since 1873 and was known for monitoring public behavior. They made it clear they would attempt to prevent the show from opening. Not wanting to face another legal battle, West kept the production out of New York City. Mae West defied the rules meant to silence her. Her bold style and use of sexual themes upset many. Some believed she leveraged her image to succeed. Others accused her of crossing boundaries to remain in the spotlight. However, she never allowed that to deter her. Number 15. Tula Bankhead. Tula Bankhead was an American actress renowned primarily for her stage work. She also appeared in films, most notably in Lifeboat, directed by Alfred Hitchcock in 1944. Although the stage remained her main focus, she also took on roles in radio and television. Throughout her lifetime, she acted in nearly 300 productions across all forms of media. She was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 1972 and later honored by the Alabama Women's Hall of Fame in 1981. She came from a family deeply involved in politics. Her grandfather and uncle served as United States senators, and her father once served as Speaker of the House of Representatives. Despite her ties to powerful conservative circles, Bankhead supported causes considered liberal at the time. She advocated for civil rights, helped children in foster care, and worked to assist families affected by the Spanish Civil War and the Second World War. Off the stage, she was candid about her use of alcohol and substances, and it was said she smoked 120 cigarettes a day. She made no effort to conceal her relationships. which included both men and women. People often called her brash or scandalous, largely because she refused to keep quiet. Her comments could be sharp, and her behavior was often loud or showy, but that was part of how she maintained the public's attention. She was not cruel for the sake of it. Her way of life simply went against the rules others tried to impose on her. Number 14. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Rosamond Taylor was born on the 27th of February, 1932, in London, England. Her parents were Americans working in the art business. The family left England and moved to Los Angeles when war broke out in Europe. Taylor's striking appearance caught the attention of film studios early on, but she also demonstrated her real talent. Her roles were not just about beauty, they demanded genuine emotion, and she delivered. By age 18, she starred opposite Spencer Tracy in Father of the Bride. In the year 1954, she took on 3 major roles in The Last Time I Saw Paris, Rhapsody, and Elephant Walk. In the last film, she played a woman torn between her duties as a wife and her feelings for another man. These parts showed that she was more than just a pretty face. Taylor's private life often drew just as much attention as her films. At 17, she married Nicky Hilton, whose family owned hotels. She also had a brief romance with millionaire Howard Hughes. Later, her affair with singer Eddie Fisher caused a scandal. Fisher married actress Debbie Reynolds then, and many blamed Taylor for breaking up their home. The press labeled her a cruel actress and homewrecker. Years later, Taylor admitted she felt sorry for the pain it caused. Still, she remained one of the most respected stars in the business. Her acting spoke for itself, and her later work in charity earned her respect beyond Hollywood. Number 13. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield arrived in Hollywood with high hopes, but her early efforts brought more setbacks than successes. She auditioned for roles at Paramount and Warner Brothers but did not land any. She began working behind the candy counter at a movie theater to earn money. She hoped to find other ways into the spotlight and started modeling jobs. During one photo session for General Electric, the photographer later shared that she was edited out of the final image. He said she looked too bold for what the public was accustomed to in 1954. Even so, she managed to appear on television that year in an episode of Lux Video Theater. Mansfield quickly learned how to attract attention. She ensured that people remembered her. She selected pink as her signature color. Her clothes and car were pink, and even her home became known as the Pink Palace. Years later, stories began to spread about her love life and a supposed link to Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan. Some claimed she led him on and caused him distress. However, those tales only gained traction after her demise and have never been proven. Number 12. Ava Gardner. When Ava Gardner first arrived in Hollywood, she entered the MGM studio system, where new actors were trained from the ground up. Her Southern accent was pronounced, so speech coaches worked with her to help soften it. She was naturally shy and uneasy in front of the camera. Sometimes she would drink a little before filming to calm her nerves. While her acting improved, her looks remained what many came to see. In The Barefoot Contessa in 1954, she portrayed a dancer whose rise to fame echoed her life. MGM advertised her as the world's most beautiful animal. The label followed her, both assisting and constraining her. Her personal life made headlines just as often as her films did. Her relationship with Frank Sinatra generated gossip, particularly when they were seen arguing in public. Some claimed she knew how to twist situations to her favor, while others believed she was guarded. What is certain is that she was often seen as fiery and unpredictable, but also deeply loyal to those she trusted. Number 11. Marilyn Monroe. Think of Marilyn Monroe, and a few things come to mind right away. Her lips painted red, slightly open, her eyes half shut as if she were still half asleep, the platinum hair that almost glowed under the lights, and that voice, soft, slow, as though she had just woken up and was speaking only to you. Marilyn aspired to be an actress. She admired Jean Harlo and Lana Turner, women who had carved their paths to the screen with style and charm. When her husband was deployed to the South Pacific during the war, she remained in California. She found a job at a munitions plant in Van Nuys, and it was there that someone first recognized her. A photographer saw potential in her and took her picture. That photo opened a door. By the time her husband returned in 1946, she had begun modeling and was already attracting attention. That same year, she signed her first film contract. With it came changes. She dyed her brown hair blonde and adopted the new name Marilyn Monroe. As she made more films, some directors complained about her habit of arriving late or requesting retakes. There were whispers that she was difficult to work with. However, much of that stemmed from fear and pressure. Marilyn often felt insecure. What was perceived as vanity was often just a fear of not being good enough. Number 10. Hedi Lamar. During the 1950s, Hedi Lamar's film work began to fade. Her last role came in the movie The Female Animal, released in 1958, where she acted alongside Jane Powell. As her time on screen ended, Lamar turned to writing. In 1966, she released a bold autobiography titled Ecstasy and Me. The book sold well, but Lamar soon took legal action against the publisher. She claimed the ghostwriter had distorted facts and included information she had never agreed to. That same year, she was arrested for shoplifting, although the charge was later dropped. More than 2 decades later, in 1991, she faced another shoplifting arrest. Again, no conviction followed. These incidents contributed to the growing perception that Lamar, once praised for her striking beauty and screen presence, was now viewed in a harsher light. People who worked with her sometimes said she seemed cold. She was known to argue with directors and fellow actors. Her distance made her difficult to read. Some perceived that as lacking warmth. Number 9. Lana Turner. Lana Turner, born Julia Jean Mildred, possessed the face, presence, and screen talent that helped define the golden years of Hollywood. Her blonde hair, expressive eyes, and ability to captivate audiences in every role made her unforgettable. She rose quickly and remained prominent, her image carefully crafted by the studios. However, Turner did not view herself as an illusion. "I am not just a manufactured something," she once said. "I am a real, live, breathing human being with faults and good points like anybody else." In the eyes of the public, one of those faults was her series of marriages. She wed 8 times, to 7 different men, and most of those relationships came with pain. Some involved violence, while others faced betrayal. In 1958, her teenage daughter stabbed and ended the life of Johnny Stompanato, Turner's mean boyfriend. The trial became a national obsession. Turner sat on the witness stand with tears as the press turned the courtroom into a stage. Her daughter was cleared of wrongdoing, with the murder ruled justifiable. However, that moment followed Turner for the rest of her life. People often labeled her as manipulative, particularly in matters of love. Her choices, partners, and heartbreaks were scrutinized by columnists and gossiped about in theaters. Number 8. Rita Hworth. Rita Hworth moved with an energy that captivated onlookers every time she danced. Fred Astaire once said she picked up steps faster than anyone he had ever met. He recalled showing her a routine before lunch. By the time they returned, she had mastered it. He believed she figured it out in her head while eating. However, once the music stopped, the light within her seemed to fade. James Cagney said she would return to her chair, sit quietly, and not speak to anyone. Hworth married 5 times and spent time with notable figures such as Howard Hughes, David Niven, Victor Mature, and Kirk Douglas. None of them gave her what she needed. "Men go to bed with Gilda, but awaken with me," she once said. She had become an image, not a person. After being with her, Douglas described her as carrying a weight of sadness that he felt pulling him down. He had to walk away. Her second husband, Orson Welles, said plainly, all her life was pain. The way she kept running from that pain did not make her difficult. It made her human. She was reportedly challenging to work with and demanding on set. Her marriages, especially to Welles, were closely followed by the press and often twisted into drama. However, behind every story was a woman trying to keep going, even when she was weary of being looked at but not seen. Number 7. Ginger Rogers. Ginger Rogers was born Virginia Catherine McMath on the 16th of July, 1911, in Independence, Missouri. When she was just 2 years old, her parents went their separate ways. She spent her early years in Kansas City with her mother and grandparents. In 1922, she moved to Fort Worth with her mother and her new stepfather, John Logan Rogers. 3 years later, she entered a Charleston dance contest in Dallas and won. The prize was a short contract on the vaudeville stage, which led to Ginger Rogers and Her Redheads, a small act that kept her on the road until 1929. That same year, she made her Broadway debut in the musical Top Speed. The show garnered enough attention for her to land a role in Young Man of Manhattan, a Paramount film. One opportunity led to another. After additional work on Broadway, she transitioned to Hollywood. From there, her career spanned over 3 decades, during which she appeared in 71 films. However, not everything behind the scenes went smoothly. People close to the production whispered about tensions between her and Fred Astaire. They said there were disagreements over who received top billing and arguments about how much say each of them had in the dance numbers. Despite the rumors, what they created on screen left a lasting mark. Number 6. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn discovered her passion for acting while attending Bryn Mawr College, an all-women's school near Philadelphia. She earned a degree in history in 1928, but the stage captivated her. Her opportunity arrived when a talent scout from RKO Radio Pictures spotted her in a show and invited her to audition for a role. She had the skill, but her attitude did not adhere to the rules. She refused to play the soft-spoken, well-behaved actress. She did not care much for makeup, avoided interviews, and had little interest in publicity. At one point, the studio took her slacks because they thought they looked improper on a woman. In response, she walked around in her underwear and told them she would not get dressed until her pants were returned. She once said, "If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun." She also refused to play nice with fans if she felt they were overstepping their bounds. When a group ran after her for an autograph, she told them to sit on a tack. They yelled back that they made her. She replied, "Like hell you did." People called her distant and difficult. She pushed back against studios and even co-stars. However, through it all, she stayed true to herself, never changing just to be liked. Number 5. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo began her acting career in Europe, quickly attracting attention with her quiet intensity and striking features. At 19, she moved to the United States to work for MGM. Her screen presence was unparalleled. Whether in silent films or talkies, Garbo delivered performances that captivated audiences without needing to say much. Even with all her success, Garbo avoided the spotlight outside the studio. She rarely gave interviews, skipped parties, and disliked being approached in public. People often called her cold or said she looked down on her co-stars. She did not play the usual Hollywood game. The press found her difficult to figure out, and some actors described her as distant. Garbo kept her life private and spoke little about her world. She never explained herself to the public and made few friends in the industry. She left Hollywood before World War II and never returned to acting. Her silence only deepened her mystery. Long after she stepped away from the camera, people continued to speak of her as someone who never quite let anyone in. Number 4. Jean Harlo. Jean Harlo's career gained real speed when she played the lead in Frank Capra's Platinum Blonde in 1931. Her presence stood out and people took notice. The following year, she found her rhythm with bold roles in Red-Headed Woman and Red Dust, the first of 6 films she made with Clark Gable. Audiences liked their chemistry. She kept her place in the spotlight with China Seas in 1935, followed by Wife vs. Secretary and Libeled Lady in 1936. Her personal life, though, told a different story. By the time she was 22, Jean had already married 3 times. One of those marriages ended in tragedy when her husband decided not to live just 2 months after the wedding, pulling her into a public scandal. At home, things were no better. Her mother and stepfather leaned on her income and spent her money freely. They treated her less like a daughter and more like a source of cash. Number 3. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck moved from Broadway to film toward the end of the 1920s. She began with a small role as a dancer in Broadway Nights in 1927. A year later, she married comic actor Frank Fay. In 1929, she acted in The Locked Door while completing her final stage performances. When she moved to Hollywood, her early film roles got little notice. Once audiences recognized her talent, Columbia offered her a contract. She acted in Illicit in 1931, and then went on to star in films such as 10 Cents a Dance, Night Nurse, and Forbidden. That last title helped establish her as one of the most sought-after names in the entertainment industry. Behind the scenes, some claimed she was willing to push others aside to secure the roles she desired. She was more after money than the welfare of her colleagues. Number 2. Gloria Swanson. Gloria Swanson became fascinated with actor Francis X. Bushman, who worked at S&A Studios. Her aunt took her to tour the studio, And during that visit, the 15-year-old Swanson was offered a small walk-on role. That small part led to a contract with the studio's stock players, setting her on the path to a career in front of the camera. While still married to Henri, Swanson began a long affair with Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., who was also married. He was the father of future President John F. Kennedy. Their relationship was no secret in the Hollywood industry. Kennedy became her business partner and fully controlled her private and professional life. He promised her large financial success. Their partnership ended after the film Queen Kelly's failure. Number 1. Judy Garland. Judy Garland was an American actress, singer, and vaudeville performer. She was known for her strong contralto voice, deep emotional reach, and ability to take on many roles. Over 45 years, she built a career that included stage and film. Her rise to fame began with her role as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz, released in the year 1939. At the age of 39, Garland was given the Cecil B. DeMille Award for lifetime work in film. She was the youngest person to receive it at the time and the first woman. Behind the scenes, though, things were not always smooth. She was described as unpredictable and often late to set. Her struggles with unhealthy habits made her difficult to work with and caused problems for her coworkers. Hollywood's golden era was challenging for women due to societal norms and expectations. This resulted in erratic behavior, like cruelty toward their colleagues. What do you think about Hollywood's golden era? Let's hear from you in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.